my friend, I want you to listen to me, and I want you to take this to heart and not think that I'm exaggerating this, because sometimes people doing what we do professionally and quasi-professionally, we tend to sometimes exaggerate. We might embellish. We might, I don't know, give the perception or the feeling that maybe something is worse than it is or better than it is, because we're always trying to push the video, push the content, push the event that we're doing here. So consequently, it's easy sometimes to overstate. If ever you have ever listened to me ever, and I hope you have, I promise you, I am not overstating what's happening right now in terms of the demise and the last nail in the coffin of the criminal justice system. There is a system called restorative justice. It's a platform. It's a code word. It is going to be the ruination of the basic fundamentals of the criminal justice system. Little background. In the, maybe the 80s, maybe when there was a move towards sentencing guidelines. Sentencing guidelines were a move on the part of federal government and state governments to come up with a comprehensive sense or a system of consistent sentencing guidelines for various offenses, so that you wouldn't have huge disparities in sentencing. You wouldn't have somebody who commits a robbery here, gets probation, somebody who commits a robbery here gets life in prison. There's no sense. Made sense theoretically, sounded good, but in reality it didn't work. And the reason why is because you're removing the sense of discretion on the part of the judge, and not all robberies are the same, and not all crimes are the same, and not all anything is the same. Okay. One of the most interesting parts of this enactment was in the prefatory language which introduced it, which said the primary, the main focus, the main intention, the main direction of sentencing is punishment. The criminal justice system is about punishment. It is not about rehabilitation. It's not about making people penitent, hence the penitentiary. It's not about teaching them a new skill. You might have that involved in programs. You might have different things that involve a variety of alternative sentencing aspects, but it is not about being nice to people. The criminal justice system is defined specifically as the application of justice to a situation in which the state or the federal government has been affronted, has been damaged, has been hurt, harmed by this person who has committed a crime, defined as an act against said state or federal government. Repeat, it is not about bringing people together, teaching people a lesson, teaching new skills, having them turn a new leaf. It's about punishment. Okay. It's a bit of an introduction there, 4.5 minutes, but here's the question. There is something right now that for lack of a better word, the radical left, woke, whoever these people are, it's called restorative justice. Doesn't that sound good? The better the sound of the program or the legislation, the worse it is. Restorative justice. And what restorative justice means is, and I'm going to say this in the truest sense of what it is, but dripping with sarcasm, it's the chance to return the criminal, I forget the victim, turn the criminal to society, to maybe have a chance to provide a platform where victim and or person and defendant, criminal defendant, can merge, reunite, reconnect, to reintroduce this fallen citizen back into society, the victim, but to return the defendant. And in the event of a sexual battery, let's say, or some type of an offense involving some horrible behavior towards a person, we're going to have that person reunite again with its perpetrator to bring them back together. And what it is it provides the perfect, yet again, the perfect platform for skirting the system, diluting the system, and turning absolute, bloodthirsty savages back into society. People who've harmed and hurt and destroyed the lives of others. It's to return them back. And by the way, some of the worst things that happen in the criminal justice system really don't involve violence per se. But I'll give you an example. Burglary. If you've ever talked to somebody who's ever been the victim of a burglary, their home has been violated. When they walk into their home and see their goods, their possessions strewn about, broken, many times they move. They can't return. They never feel safe again. I don't use the word rape too lightly, but in essence, it's a violation of their sanctity, their home. Criminal justice should, if at all possible, take into account what's in the best consideration for society. And in the event of, or in the case of drug offenses, which I have always thought are best handled, for the most part, outside of the criminal justice arena. But if there's a way, for example, to utilize probation is an extremely effective means of redress in cases where it's appropriate, where there's not serious violent personal harm and that sort of thing. Anyway, but restorative justice, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor. Just when you're done with this, just go to your Google and put in restorative justice, or go into Twitter and look up restorative justice and listen, or read rather, the words, the depictions of this insanity that will again provide the last nail in the coffin of the criminal justice system. Radical left, woke, whoever these people are, whatever this shadow government, whoever these folks are, have been doing everything in their power to completely destroy the order that we used to call society. And one of the things they've been wanting to do, one of the things they have done, is through no cash bail, ROR programs, release on your own recognizance, just letting people go. Or in the case of Alvin Bragg, downgrading series and scores of cases and charges. A systematic liquidation, a corruption, an implosion, a destruction of the various platforms, the platforms of society as constructed and evinced, I should say, by the criminal justice system, and restorative justice, a George Soros planned assault on common sense. Remember, restorative justice. Remember, you heard this. If you've never heard it before, you heard it now. You are going to rue. It's already happening, but it hasn't hit that level of conversance where everybody just says it. Like climate change. Restorative justice. It's here. It's not coming. It's here. And your elected officials, your prosecutors, your Congress people and senators allowed this to happen. We were telling you about this years ago, but it was too isolated, too random. It hadn't hit that blood-brain barrier yet. And I'm telling you right now, restorative justice. Imagine your daughter, your friend, your spouse, a loved one. Imagine a woman who's involved in a sexual battery, and she's ordered to meet with her assailant. And if she doesn't, the charges are dismissed. Because one of the reasons, or one of the bases, or one of the elements of this healing and this reunification of this miscreant, this animal with society, forget the victim, but this person, is to have him, usually, meet with her, usually, to work things out in restorative justice. Remember what I'm telling you. Remember these words. Remember this. This will be, this is just, remember when you first heard affirmative action, which I'm not comparing the two, but didn't affirmative action sounded good, didn't it? Well, later on, people said, affirmative action, that's not exactly what critical race theory sounded. Well, it's worth a shot. Well, you know where that one went. So restorative justice, it has this name. Military intelligence, No Child Left Behind, the Patriot Act, all these wonderful things that sound terrific, but they end up being horrid. Restorative justice. Look it up. Google it. Restorative justice. Okay? I'm warning you. Warning you, hell. It's already here. Now do me a favor, please, please, please. I ask one thing. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. And whatever you do, I beg, beseech, entreat, I did say entreat. I beseech, I entreat, I importune you to comment as you see fit.